Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm good, Conrad. I'm good. I'm feeling good, and things are all right. So, we're just in a little battle here with the skin cancer thing. Everybody thinks, well, that's the end of the road for JR. I did a week ago. I did a adfreeshows.com gig with Lauren.
Yeah, a little Ask JR Anything. Fans got to jump on and be on a live Zoom with you, and
they could
see you, and you could see them, and they could ask questions. How was it?
It was fun. It was fun, and we got some pretty good questions out of it too. I appreciated the. I think every single person wanted to wish me well health-wise, which I appreciated. And it shows they care. It's just if you don't understand a pro wrestling fan base, you wouldn't get it. But they're a lot more passionate. It's the most passionate group. You might find something like that on a college campus at a home game, like in Alabama or Norman, whatever. So it was cool. But it was good. We had good callers and good stuff. And, people wanted to know what I thought about the all those cuts that WWE made recently. It's the same answer, man. It's business. I'm not celebrating it. I feel badly for those that got cut. Most of them would be paid, I'm assuming, for 3 months at least, so they can get through the holidays and not miss any checks. That's why you have Plan B and you save money, so that if you have these issues come up, you get yourself a little bit of a nest egg that you can live on without a gun to your head. But I said, I can't. I feel badly for them. I really, truly do. But Conrad, hell, it's business.
Right.
It's business. And people say, well, how do they make those decisions? Well, if creative, it starts with creative. If creative says that they have nothing, they pitch Vince all kinds of ideas and none have been accepted, then all of a sudden, the decision rolls back into the chairman. And if he hasn't seen something or felt something, then the case is over. So your fate is declared. So it's just unfortunate. But they can't stop living, and they can't stop. If they want to be a pro wrestler badly enough, they'll improve things while they're off that they needed to improve, whether it be their physique or their getting in the ring. Just because you're laid off doesn't mean you can't get in somebody's ring and work out. Get better at what you do.
That's right.
So I have all the empathy for them and their families, but knowing they're not going to miss paychecks during the holidays is a good thing. Think about that. Build on the positive. The fact they're going to have probably 90 days to get their improve their game, and their toolbox is going to have more shiny tools in it if they apply themselves. And, some may need to lose weight, some may need to gain weight, whatever, but you got to do something. But it's not the end of the world. And I'm not I probably sound nonchalant, and I'm not, but I've been laid off 3 times. People remember, and I'm still around.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of not quitting.
That's exactly right.
Don't quit. So I'm not going to quit. I've been thinking a lot. It's funny how things come back to your mind. You remember, and it's been replayed on TV probably a zillion times. Jim Valvano's speech when he was at the ESPYs and he talked about having cancer.
Absolutely.
And, I've pulled some of those thoughts, and he said, "Don't give up. Don't ever give up." And that's kind of where I am with my situation. I can't see me quitting. I'm not ready to tag out. So, it's just what it is, Connie. I got a lot of friends like you, no better friend than you. And I got a lot of friends, and I got, it's almost good that I'm not in Oklahoma, because I know how that scene would be. Very crowded. Dad, are you all right? Can we bring you something? No, I want to be by myself for at least an hour. How about that? Oh, Dad's cranky today. Dad's cranky all the time. But anyway, it'll work out. Be good. Sport's good. Got great doctors. Mayo Clinic's 4 miles away.
How do you beat that? You can't beat that.
No, I got a break there. That's why I told my kids, I can't understand why you're not doing it here in Oklahoma. Well, because I got my doctors in Jacksonville in the shadow of the Mayo Clinic. Oh, yeah. So you want to be near a Mayo Clinic if you got something that you want to make sure you get handled physically, medically, whatever the word is. So anyway, it's been good. Everything else is good. My life is good. Our show's been doing great. A lot of people are tuning in every week. We really appreciate that. A lot of people are going to jrsbarbecue.com and getting some stocking stuffers, etc., for the holidays. That's kind of cool. I love seeing the pictures and the stuff that they're ordering on Twitter. So it makes me think that I'm busy. And you know how you and I are. If we're not busy, we're not happy.
We're bored.
We're not happiest. I'm just not saying we can't be happy, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
If you're busy, you and I like to be busy, and I look at that as a gift. That's in our DNA. That's how we operate. So anyway, it's all good. AEW is good. Tony Khan's been fabulous in my care. It's basically whatever you need, do it. Whatever you want to do it. I'm here for you 24/7. And it's really good to have that relationship with the head honcho. That's like people having the relationships with you and your company. And when you're selling mortgages, and I know you guys are doing very well, but one of the reasons you're doing very well is because of your staff, your salespeople. And secondly, because you motivate them. You're the leader, you're the light they look to. And they love those chinks. So anyway, so it's all good, baby. All good. Life is good. I get up every day, folks, and assume that you're very lucky because you are alive.
And what a way to say that today, because as you guys are listening to this, it's Thanksgiving, and we hope you guys are having a day filled with fun and food and family and
my favorite holiday.
Yeah, it's like it's Fat Guy Christmas, right? I mean, it's
right. Yeah.
It's all the perks of Christmas without the stress of, oh, am I getting the right present and who do I get for what and all that. So yeah, Fat Guy Christmas, man. I love Thanksgiving. So excited that you guys decided to spend some time with us today.
Yep.
We're talking about something that, believe it or not, happened 20 years ago. And it's almost kind of hard to imagine that this was 20 years ago. Tomorrow, Jim, this Friday, Black Friday, if you will be the 20-year anniversary of the time that WWE visited Oklahoma City for Raw is War. And we're just 2 Raws removed from Survivor Series 01, which we covered last week. But this show is most notable because it's going to feature the return of Jerry the King Lawler. And now that Lawler's back,
Well, it's time to mess with somebody else, and they're going to be messing with you today. What a show we're in for today. We're going to do it watch along style, season 9, episode 48. So pull up your Peacock Network, Monday Night Raw, season 9.
That just sounded funny.
48.
Pull up your Peacock.
Yeah.
You sly old dog.
And as you can confirm, I mean, Jim Ross figured it out, so it's not hard.
Yeah, it was. I didn't figure it out. I'll be honest, everybody. I didn't figure it out on the first try, and I had a little help, i.e., the Podfather there. Give me a link. Just give me the link.
Yeah,
I don't want to drag nothing, click nothing, add this, all that shit.
I speak JR.
You do.
Yeah,
and that's why we have great shows. It's because we communicate well. That's my story, and it's fun, and the fact that we don't overburden ourselves with dad. Okay, now you say this,
right,
and I'll say that.
Yeah, no thanks.
Make sure you get your line in, and emphasize the word shit, because it's important to the fabric of the creative. Fuck, jeez. Anyway, that's where we are. So we'll be back later on camera. Right or wrong?
Yeah, you can actually see the video right now over on YouTube or adfreeshows.com. We're going to do a little 3-screen experience. You'll be watching the network, and JR and I will try to entertain you with some alternate comments. I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com. I'm going to give you a countdown. I'll go 3, 2, 1. And when I say play, you'll press play. This is season 9, episode 48, November 26, 2001. So, today everybody's worrying about stuffing the turkey. Well, 20 years ago, Jim Ross was stuffing his head up Vince McMahon's ass. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play. The old signature open. I love that signature open. And I think we'll start with a little bit of a recap video to sort of set the stage, and I'll track that for us.
Hey, Rick, partner, how you doing?
Vince, how are you?
Good, good.
Hey, I respect you.
Oh, yeah?
And I respect what you've done in this great sport. But you really, really wore me out at SmackDown. We're partners 3 days. And you're talking down to me on national TV. Talking down, woo, to the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Then you take Jericho and put him in a handicap match. And then Regal and 5 guys jump on Austin and leave him laying. I'm 50% owner here. We're partners. We work together. From now on, nothing goes down. Let them know about it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think I have a way to make it up to you, Rick. No. I think you're gonna like this. It's big, okay? Bear with me. Okay? Yeah, you're right. I'm back. Okay. I'm back. I'm relaxed.
So there you go. Ric Flair was revealed the prior week, just like Jerry Lawler returned. The alliance was fired, but it's revealed that the consortium, or whatever they were calling Rick, he is now co-owner of the World Wrestling Federation, and he returned right there, seemingly at the last minute. Meltzer would say the signing of Flair and a deal verbally agreed to by Flair and his lawyers for Time Warner at 7:30 p.m. on 11/16, but not officially signed until the lawyer sent the contract to the Charlotte Coliseum at 4:30, the day of the show, is to play Vince McMahon's advisory, who will be the point man in setting up the break into 2 separate promotions because the 2 will be unable to get along as 50% owners. So Meltzer believes at least the initial idea for creative here is we're going to have a real deal brand split, and Raw will be run by one fellow and Well, another show run by another. And I think the concept is, these days we know it's Raw and SmackDown, but back then they were still touring with the idea, would one have a WCW name, or would it just be the Raw SmackDown thing, in your opinion?
I was never a big fan of the brand separation. I thought we blew the angle that we covered here on the show. We missed a great opportunity. I think that's kind of a popular assumption. So because it never was pure, it was always, if you're a New England Patriot, you don't play on Saturday for the Detroit Lions. You're a Patriot, so to speak. Anyway, I was never a big fan of this whole damn thing, and I would have loved it if it had stayed separate and stayed competitive in that regard. So here comes Vince with his muscle.
Kurt Angle in tow, and we just saw a tight shot of you and Jerry Lawler. Of course, for most of 01, we had seen you and Paul Heyman sort of arm in arm at the announce desk, but now Heyman's out, Lawler's back. By the way, we should mention Lawler had signed an agreement with a startup promotion that was being ran by Jimmy Hart called the XWF, but it made the Observer that they figured out how to mend fences here at the last minute. And of course, Jimmy and Jerry figured out how to work around that whole agreement they had. How excited were you to see your friend Jerry Lawler back at your elbow?
Well, it was good. I was very excited because they put me back in a nice little comfort zone, timing wise. If I had to work with a brand new person that I had no shows with, it might have been a little bit more daunting. But Lawler and we just started where we left off.
So Vince is saying here, hey, last week you heard we saw the first member of the Kiss My Ass Club. I like people kissing my ass. It feels good. Let's listen.
And tonight, a second individual will join the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club right here tonight. Oh my God, Jerry, we're going to get to see it again. Sometimes we're going to do it twice. And before I reveal that individual's name, allow me to introduce to you an Olympic champion. Oh yeah. An Olympic hero. An American hero. A WWF hero. A man who has never kissed my ass. The first ever, soon to be undisputed WWF champion, Kurt Angle.
Vince is a good heel, man.
Such a great heel. And as a reminder, we're headed towards the December show, the December pay-per-view, which is where we're going to run a little bit of a tournament. And we know Chris Jericho is going to become the man, but a lot of people probably thought, well, they're probably going to go with Kurt here just based on the incredible year and run he had. Also, as a reminder, the prior week, we had seen the first member of the Kiss My Ass Club just one day after the end of the Alliance at Survivor Series. That was Mr. William Regal. And now here in Oklahoma City, well, we know Vince has other plans.
Yes, he does.
You wrote about this a lot in your book, and we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about this, but this, well, it's interesting, creative, to say the least.
Yeah, it was. Well, I didn't like it, which we'll discuss, but I never saw the need in a Kiss My Ass Club to start with anybody involved. We didn't get a t-shirt. There's nothing here. So I am a member of the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. We didn't get a t-shirt or nothing. So, but I knew something would be coming up because he's got an audience in Oklahoma City, in my home state, 20 miles from where I lived, right there at, and the audience is going to be very pro JR. I mean, it's inevitable. But also when you go to your hometown, Vince likes to use that as a backdrop for the heat. It's a who on the roster can we get more heat with by this. So it's what it was what it was. I did my thing. When Saban calls a play, you goddamn sure better run it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I ran the play.
Well, I think the gist is they're going to talk about how someone else is going to be joining the Kiss My Ass Club tonight, but they don't just jump right to you. I think it's insinuated, at least to start, that it's going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, which obviously feels like we're hearkening back a few years to when the business was on absolute fire in 1998, when Stone Cold was the man of the people and he was railing against his boss, the evil Mr. McMahon.
Yep.
That is when the company really reached new heights. So I understand, hey, let's go back to what we know and let's make Stone Cold the sort of anti-hero hero. And let's make Vince this awful boss and evil figure. And man, getting Stone Cold's best friend and old pal and that everybody knows involved in creative like this, I could see it. But boy,
my friendship with, my friendship with Steve cost me a time or two.
Yes.
Including on this night in Oklahoma City. The nice thing too about this, I looked up there and hell of a crowd. We had a great crowd. We had a real good house that night, and it was kind of cool. Because there was some skepticism about, well, can we sell enough tickets in Oklahoma City to make it look good on TV? Because all any arena is, wherever you go, is a television studio. That's what it is. And so that's what this is. This is a major television studio, and they turned out well. I was really happy for that.
Let's hear what Vince is saying here.
Giving footage we'd like to share with the many of you who did not see this. Let's roll the footage. This little incident that occurred on Thanksgiving. Here, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, go ahead. Thinks he's having his way with William Regal. Oh, but look, who comes to save the day? Look at this. That son of a bitch attacked me. I couldn't believe it myself, Taylor. Oh, yeah, well, then what happened to old Stone Cold just a little bit later on, huh?
Regal's priceless. Just priceless. What a great villain.
One of the all-time greats, not just in the ring, but the persona, the mic work, just the character work, just outstanding.
And the fact that Austin, his assailants are all recognizable stars, especially the Dudleys.
Which brings up certainly one point I want to make. And that is, you see, there's a moral to that story. That is that Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't want any more of Mr. McMahon. Oh, that's the moral. You see, Austin learned his lesson before, and he damn sure doesn't want to have to go through McMahon Austin too. Ooh. That's just a little sample of what would happen if Stone Cold continues to cross yours truly and Kurt Angle.
Don't cross the boss, famous words.
So therefore, I don't think it's too much to ask if tonight Mr. McMahon takes his jacket off, drops his trousers.
Oh no! Oh no!
Pulls my underwear down so all you can see my magnificent keister. It's not too much to ask for Stone Cold to come out and kiss my ass.
What? I don't think that's gonna happen.
And if he knows what's good for him, that's exactly what will happen right here tonight, here in Oklahoma City. I thank you very much.
You mean Vince wants to be the second member of the Kiss My Ass Club?
So that's the gist. Stone Cold is going to kiss my ass right here tonight. But you wrote about this a lot in your book, and we need to, or I want to mention, when I read the book the very first time, I told you I think it's one of the best 3 books ever written about wrestling. I loved Bret Hart's book. I love Mick Foley's book. And I think your second book, Under the Black Hat, where you talk about a lot of this, it might be, yeah, it is. It's a top 3 all-timer. And a lot of it is because of your candidness of being willing to just share your real emotions and experiences while working for Vince, because Vince, as everyone knows listening to this, is a fascinating individual.
Yeah.
And the idea that you get another peek into the brain of how he works and how he thinks, I don't think any book has really expressed that as well as Under the Black Hat did.
Well, thanks. Well, I worked hip to hip for a long, long time through some tough times and some great times, revamping the roster, getting younger, et cetera, finding some people that we thought were going to be stars. And we got lucky on several signees. Always give Gerald Briscoe credit for the men that he recruited and scouted, because we had athletes. And the thing about, there's a theory there, Conrad, I don't think I've ever shared. When you hire a real athlete, they understand bumps and bruises. They understand pushing themselves. They understand how to function in a locker room civilly, with a unity, so to speak. And so they're just I think they're more durable than, say, somebody that's a bodybuilder. It's a different culture. And so I'm a big believer that hiring real athletes is a good deal. So that's what we did.
We see Ric Flair sort of addressing Steve Regal here. And that's essentially, I guess we'd call it the Alliance B team, but it's the Dudley Boys, who we think a lot of, Test, who unfortunately is no longer with us, and Christian. And it's pretty crazy to think that Christian's still wrestling on TV every single week. This was 20 years ago.
Yeah. He took that sabbatical, for a few years, stayed in great shape, and now he's doing well for AEW. He's a good, a real good member of the team, because he adds a lot of experience, and he's normally willing to share it with the young guys. I think Christian is being a big help to Jungle Boy, for example, and Luchasaurus. That's who they're married to right now. So in any event, I think it's pretty cool. I think he's still working. He's still having a good time, and he's still contributing.
Jeff Hardy is coming out here. He's going to be taking on Christian. And the story here is that Jeff is, he's hurting. He's got a concussion, and he's trying to work through it. And this is going to be the beginning of the split of the Hardys, as Lead Up Matt and Jeff just aren't on the same page. Anytime you see and here's the recap of what we just talked about recently, Survivor Series 01, where Jeff could have just climbed down from there and won, but instead crash and burn. That's all she wrote.
Yeah. Took a big chance. We talk about high risk. Allegedly you want high rewards. And on this one, you got disaster. A table was waiting. And, so instead of winning the match, didn't go the way of the Hardys. Thanks to, is it Jeff's ego? Is that what we're trying to portray here? Or his recklessness? Whatever. But my deal is he took a hell of a bump, man.
How about this entrance for Christian? That reigning pyro, one of the all-time great entrances in wrestling.
He's got a haircut since then, as you noticed.
He has. And he stopped dumping a bottle of water on his head before he went through the curtain, which a lot of guys still do. Why do you think they do that, Jim?
You know what? I don't know. That's a good question. Everybody's hair is wetted down and all that. I don't know. Maybe they think it looks better or easier to control aesthetically or something. I'm not real sure, but you can tell he's watered down there pretty good, so he can control his long flowing locks. You think Michael Hayes would have done that back in the 80s?
Nope.
Water his hair down.
Not a chance. Jimmy Garvin either, while we're at it.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's interesting what we're looking at now, because both of these guys have really enjoyed a career resurgence. Their careers became synonymous with each other here in the WWF. They just created absolute magic as a part of these tag teams, the Hardy Boys, and of course, Edge and Christian. But these days, boy, Jeff's really doing his thing on SmackDown, and we know that Christian has had quite a return so far for AEW, including beating Kenny Omega on the very first Rampage, which is something people will talk about for a long time as a little trivia footnote. But I don't know, man. It just feels like a different time. Is it just me, or does it feel like guys are able to wrestle longer than ever these days? And why do you attribute, what do you attribute that to?
Relying more on in-ring psychology and telling a story vis-a-vis just doing acrobatic and high-risk spots. As Matt comes out to intervene here on his little brother's behalf, having a conversation there with Lita. She was really an unsung hero for us. She added something that no other female did, her look and not Japanese, Mexican training, because she worked in Mexico for a good while in her early career. She was always very valuable. A lot of sex appeal too.
So, it's fascinating to think about in hindsight, a couple of different things, but one in particular that I think maybe doesn't get enough credit. I think when the story is all said and done and told one day, the pandemic probably extended quite a few careers. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. The inactivity, let guys rest and reassess their game and their plans and their goals and all those things. And that's like I say right now about these, I get earlier about all those talents who got laid off in WWE. It's time to assess where you are and who you are and how do I get back to the thing that I love doing. And you get back by not repeating history and improving your game in all phases, whether it be promos or getting in the ring with somebody, like I said, with somebody's wrestling gym, whatever it may be. But you can't just be dormant and wait by the telephone. That's not a good scenario. And boy, these guys have such great chemistry. These guys, meaning Jeff Hardy and Christian.
Yeah.
You're right on the money when we talked about Jeff conquering his demons and doing such a great job on WWE that he does. I'm happy for him, because there were times his career didn't look good. He and I had several long talks. I really believe in the Hardys. I always have. And there is Christian getting a win by a little skullduggery, shall we say.
And again, we're trying to tell the story that, Edge, Christian, and Lita, are not Edge, but Lita and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
They're just not on the same page. And you see that, Matt is trying to say, Jeff, you're not well, stop doing this, get back in the ring, because he's quote unquote got a concussion. So nice little storytelling there. And then we pan backstage. Let's track it.
Gentlemen, in this arena. Oh, there's a dressing room. And you got a wonderful Stone Cold Secret Revenge tonight. Or will he kiss Mr. McMahon's backside? Is RVD. Wow. Oh my God. RVD will be defending the WWF Hardcore Championship against Devon Dudley. Look at that. Anything goes. RVD and one of the Dudley boys. And that match is next.
Rob Van Dam seemed like he was getting the big push here in 01. And we see The Rock here on the cover of TV Guide. And listen, some of our younger viewers probably don't recall this, but once upon a time, there was no wider distribution than TV Guide.
Right.
There were more TV guides than any other publication or periodical that was out there. And let's take a listen now to what's going on backstage with the Hardys.
How could you be so stupid, man? Stupid. Yeah, stupid, Jeff. I told you, you shouldn't even have been wrestling tonight. But did you listen to me? No. And then even when you went to the ring, I supported you, Jeff. I told you what you should do. I told you, don't take any unnecessary risk. I told you, do the twist of fate and beat him on the mat. Who asked you to get involved in the match anyway, huh? Nobody asked me to get involved, Jeff. I got involved because I care about you. I got involved because I care about this team. Now, do you care about the team, Jeff? You know what? Ever since we were kids, I've always had to keep you on the right. Ever since we were kids, Matt, you've been trying to run my life. You've been trying to control me. You've always thought you're smarter. You've always thought you're better. I don't think it's a question that I'm smarter than you, Jeff. I think that's obvious. And somebody needs, look, shut up. Please, you're not in this.
I thought you were in here because you cared about Jeff. It's pretty obvious the only thing you care about is yourself.
Drama. Conrad's drama.
Good now, Matt. Lita.
So there you go. Little dissension in the ranks amongst the Hardys. Talk to me about the creative team in this era. I think Brian is a part of the team, and I know he was important for helping write a lot of stuff for Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle and what have you.
Yeah, and Rock.
Was he that same way with the Hardys, or who do you think would have been helping sort of lead the charge for the Hardys?
I would be surprised that Brian Gewirtz wasn't involved in the Hardys. It seemed like they got along good and communicated well, which is the key. Brian's a sharp kid. You know, he's deeply involved still with the Rock. And, you know, I saw a tweet the other day from Brian. I follow him on Twitter where he's in Australia, and I'm assuming that they're filming the next season of Young Rock.
That's right.
So he's very much involved in all that. And never see the Dudleys doing their traditional thing. You know, the Dudley boys, they've kind of booked themselves in a corner somewhat, because if you didn't get the table spot, as an audience, you felt a little bit cheated.
You're disappointed. Yeah.
A little disappointed.
I mean, I think, you know, when I had conversations back in the day with Rick about his, Mr. Flair, I mean, about his early fandom, he grew up just such a huge fan of Ray Stevens. And he felt like if Ray didn't do that upside down flip into the turnbuckle that we all now associate with Rick, then he was disappointed. Every time every time his dad took him to see wrestling, he wanted to see Ray Stevens do that. And as a result, you know, Rick carried that with him, and it sort of became something that he implemented to where a lot of people even said it was to his own detriment. Oh, he's a routine man or what have you. I know Bret Hart used to say that a lot, but he felt like, hey, if you're paying your money to go see Elvis, you don't just want to hear the new stuff. Let's hear the hits, baby.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And that's sort of the same thing with the Dudleys. I mean, if my parents were taking me to see the Dudleys and I was a little kid, I would have wanted to see the table spot for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And I would be no different. It's a sensational spot. It's their identifier. It's their ID. The one thing about this match that's ongoing right now is RVD is getting over.
Yes.
He has connected with the audience. Doesn't seem like a company guy, quite frankly, you know, with all of his attitude and so forth. But let's not forget how good a singles guy Devon Dudley was.
Oh yeah. In a different alternate universe, Devon would have been a big single star.
Yeah. And, you know, Bubba gets a lot of the credit, I guess, if that's a good word. And deservedly so. Bubba's a hell of a heel.
Yeah.
But don't forget, it just leaves Devon out sometimes. He's kind of standing outside that main shot, that camera shot. But here he gets a chance to do his thing and work a singles match in a high profile match with a big star. And they'd worked together. I'm sure they'd had matches or encounters of some sort in ECW back in the day.
Yes.
That's a hell of a spot right there where the chair's on the canvas, that running neck breaker is perfectly timed. So RVD takes his bump on the chair, which is normally a finish. But Devon waited a little long, gave RVD an out. It was a loose cover. But look at this spot. It's just really a fantastic. It's almost like a cutter.
Yeah.
Which I don't know the difference in a cutter and a stunner. They're all the same basic mechanic, but nonetheless, it's irrelevant.
I'm curious from your perspective, you know, we know they're going to go with Rob as the world champion 4 years after this, but it felt like here, if you really were serious about trying to make new stars and you really were trying to, you know, grab at something new, they're going to anoint Chris Jericho the next month with wins over both The Rock and Stone Cold. He's going to become the first undisputed champion. He'll have the WWF and the WCW world title at the same time. And it does make me wonder, what if, and that's always fun to do here on the show, what if they hadn't gone with Jericho and they would have went with Rob Van Dam? How might wrestling be different?
Well, it would be a little bit different, but not that much. They both have a lot in common. They're both very skilled, and they both have unique personalities. RVD going for the cover, and again, the chair that Devon brought into the ring bit him in the ass, and so RVD gets the win, important win, And that was a good match. I really liked that match with RVD and Devon.
As wrestling logic goes, you would think bringing a chair in the ring when you're wrestling Rob Van Dam would be right out of the book of bad ideas.
Yeah, really, no kidding, right? Yeah, he's going to use that chair to his benefit.
And we see now the, I guess we'll call it the B team here in the back. We've got Christian, Test, and Bubba Ray Dudley. And there's William Regal squirming. Let's take a listen.
I speak fluent European. He needs to go to the water closet. What? The bathroom.
Together?
Why didn't you just say so?
Look, you never know when Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to strike. That's exactly why we need to go together now. Come on, Boston.
I ain't holding nothing.
So we go to commercial, and Steve Regal has to go to the bathroom, and he's asking these guys to go to the bathroom with him. That's where we are. It will pay off. Patience. Here we go. As we're back here in Oklahoma City. Nice little outdoor shot here, and let's track it because you don't want to miss it.
I thought that was the right mistake. He's the big show, you know. Oh my God.
What the hell are you doing? Get off me!
So this was a little silly, but we got to explain what the hell just happened. We get a shot of everyone from our previous shot, including the Dudley boys, or specifically Bubba Ray. He's at a urinal, and so is William Regal. And then all of a sudden, here comes Big Show. Apparently, William Regal had to take a look and see what Big Show was working with, made a face, and then someone else came into the room named Devon Dudley, made a little noise. It distracted Regal because he's nervous that Stone Cold's going to attack him. And when he turned to see who it was coming in, he quote unquote urinated all over the Big Show. And for whatever reason, William Regal's urine is green. So
supplements. You know, in Regal's career, that actually happened on an airplane. In Regal's days, when he was a little bit under the weather, shall we say,
in WCW, I recall, yeah.
And he went in the bathroom to urinate, and he forgot to lock the door. And flight attendant opened the door. He turned around, and so his business turned around with him, and he peed all over the flight attendant. So that was based in reality. And I'm sure it sounds like that's a Brian Gewirtz thing.
But Vince McMahon loves these sort of urine angles, does he not?
Oh, he loves the bathroom humor. He loves it.
We're getting a replay here.
And this man right here is very, very angry, JR. Man, he has a right to be. You got that right. I got peed on.
You just did like a telestrator thing with
that was Lawler.
With like a football game, breaking down the play, but instead Lawler was breaking down the whiz.
Yeah, Lawler loved that little gimmick, the telestrator. He thought he was John Madden or somebody. Somebody's listening to, now who that's the video game, right?
Out comes Stacy Keibler, which is going to remind me later today to punch my brother-in-law in the head.
Well, she's what a sweetheart. She was almost too nice to be in the wrestling business.
We're seeing highlights from the prior week. Of course, what is WWE around the holidays if you don't have some sort of food fight? Right. And the ladies here are doing a food fight, and now they're in, I guess, a giant vat of gravy.
Oh, gravy, baby.
Oh, goodness.
It looks like turkey gravy by the color of it.
So Trish Stratus picks up the win, and coming out next is going to be Trish again. So we've got Trish and Stacy Keibler here, and I believe what's been promised is a bra and panty match. Boy, this is a different era of professional wrestling, is it not?
Yeah, big time. But the politically correct police would not approve this.
I just
And
wonder, how do you even go tell one of these talents this is what they're doing?
Just that way. Here's your script today. You're an actress or you're a performer, and this is what we'd like to do, and that give them the opportunity to add to that creative, and so they can be a part of the presentation. So Stacy and Trish are going to have this bra and panty match.
I love you just trying to go into announcer mode. All right, well, I guess we should call the action here. I don't know that we're going to see a Matt Classic here, but
probably not. It's not going to remind anybody of the legendary bouts between the Funks and the Briscoes. However, this is a prominent side of the entertainment aspect of sports entertainment. Now, and here's the sad part about these. They're still working their tails off.
Oh, they're working hard, and they're doing it in heels. You know, you see, look at the heel that Stacy Keibler is working on here.
Yeah.
That's not a hardwood floor, boys and girls. I mean, this can't be easy. And
it is not
the laundry.
It's not easy, Conrad, whatsoever. Well, Trish, I guess that was a false finish. We got to see her thong. A thong finish. You know, you can only imagine how much fun Lawler had with this match.
Let's listen.
Second guy to join the Kiss My Ass Club.
Trish now is down to her bra, and
Lawler's having an aneurysm.
Yeah, this may have been a prelude to his heart attack in Montreal years later.
It's
poor Stacy. Stacy had trouble getting her feet together and staying coordinated, as you said, very observantly. Those shoes are not built for wrestling.
No. It really is a wonder that we didn't see more of the ladies getting hurt, you know, twisted ankles and whatnot. Like, I don't know how you do that.
Well, yeah, and they got hurt some. They did, but you know, they were soldiers. The women in this era, Conrad, realized that they had an opportunity by getting quality TV minutes to upgrade the perception of women's wrestling. And Trish was the new face. She was the anti-Moolah. So, but Stacy Keibler is the one that I really admire too, for the simple standpoint that she was a cheerleader for the Ravens. I don't think other than that, she was a big time athlete. You know, Trish was an athlete, played team sports. Like, she played field hockey pretty successfully. So for Stacy to do what Stacy's doing, Conrad, it may look very easy, but it's not. Because remember, she's got to take care of her opponent and not hurt her. Uh-oh. There's the cradle.
And that should be all she wrote. Looks like we're down to the bra and panties for Stacy Keibler. And Trish hooks the leg after the big kick. Both shoulders weren't down, but it's a merciful finish.
Yeah. The bell rung, must be over.
Must be over.
Jack Doan, the referee. Notice to put the shorter referees in with the women so that the referee didn't stand out so much.
What do you think ever happened to Jack Doan? We hadn't heard that name in a long time.
I don't know. He got out of the business as best I know.
The rumor and innuendo is Vince wasn't happy with his appearance, made some suggestions, didn't happen fast enough, and
He might have gained some weight that Vince wasn't happy with.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And
Comes a great one.
On the door. Yeah. And here comes The Rock. And of course, he's going to cut a promo about how, you know, this tournament to merge the world titles is silly because everybody knows it's going to come down to Rock and Austin. The Rock here, of course, is, as we've mentioned, on the cover of TV Guide, which means he's one of the biggest stars, not just in wrestling, but in all of entertainment. Earlier this same year is when the Scorpion King came out, May of 2001. And we know he's going to go on to bigger and better things. You just saw the graphic there. That means we're in the changeover. And
Top of the hour. We're at the top of the hour.
That's exactly right. And that's one of the hot spots of booking wrestling television, or so we hear, Jim.
It is.
How important do you think the switch from hour 1 to hour 2 is?
Well, it's very important because a lot of people are watching another program in that first hour. They're flipping the channels, perhaps, let's say, argument's sake, and they've come across something here. You don't want to be in a commercial break, that's for sure. You want to be given a content, and this is pretty good content here when you flip the dial and also, oh, there's The Rock, and you stop. So that's the logic behind it. Tony Khan does the same thing. You know, our first segment, our crossover segment, the one crossing in this case the 9 o'clock Eastern time hour, and then the close of the show are your 3 tent poles that you build a script around. So he's it just makes sense. It's just logical.
Let's listen to what The Rock's going to say here.
Finally, The Rock has come back to Oklahoma City.
This is a big deal for Oklahoma City, getting The Rock and Austin on this card.
And the crowd chanting his name.
You think we'll see a star like that in wrestling again, Jim?
And Conrad, that's hard to say because I've said this before, he's a once in a lifetime talent. I'm not sure, man. It's hard. The odds are against it, but you never say never. Some kid may run onto the scene that has all the natural attributes, the traits, the look, the ring psychology, the product knowledge. That could happen, but it's. I hope it does happen for the business sake, but I wouldn't want to bet on it.
It's remarkable. Let's take a listen.
The Rock.
The Rock.
They're just in lockstep with everything he does. They're eating out of the palm of his hand. And we see he's got the WCW big gold, their world title over his shoulder. We're marching towards vengeance. Did you have any idea here a few weeks out? And I know sometimes you would say you didn't want to know creatively, but did you know in general, we're going with Chris Jericho, or were you as shocked as we were at home?
No, I knew that's where we were headed to try to get him over because the Rock's increased movie schedule and all those other opportunities that he had. You know, Austin's coming off injuries. And we knew that Rock would always be there for us when his schedule permitted, but that was not always going to be the case, scheduling wise. And Steve, of course, is tougher than that old proverbial $2 steak. He's going to come to work. But we got to be smart in how we use him, and he's got to be smart in what he does. So you want to build some depth that can have on top main event level status. And the way to facilitate that, I thought was a pretty smart idea, is for Jericho to have that epic night where he beat both Rock and Austin.
Pretty big moment for Jericho. I mean, really, of all the big moments he had, that's probably the first major one. I mean, I guess you could argue, his breakout moments, segments, and skits that he had on Nitro, certainly debuting against The Rock. But man, when you get the nod on pay-per-view to win not just the WCW world title, but the WWF world title, and you beat not just Stone Cold Steve Austin, but The Rock as well, in back-to-back performances, no less. It's man, that's
a push.
Yeah, buddy.
That's a push. My God, Conrad, it's a push.
It is interesting to me.
I love a little pushing every now and
then. What if they had done that with Rob Van Dam? It's interesting to think about. Just
you're a Rob Van Dam fan, aren't you?
No, I just wonder.
You're singing his praises endlessly.
Well, I wonder why it didn't happen, because there's been rumors that he was quote unquote dangerous to work with. You tell me, as the head of talent relations, you never really heard that from the guys.
No.
But they went with him 4 years later, but not here. And it feels like a lot of times WWE gets criticized for stop and start pushes. And it feels like right here could have been an opportunity for me.
No, your observation is well founded. I think it might have been that, Rob was still in the process of gaining Vince's trust.
Yes.
I think it's no more than that. Rob kind of lived his gimmick, and his views on cannabis are well founded and well discussed, thoroughly discussed. He'll discuss it with you anytime today. So I just felt like that was probably a process that Vince had to get comfortable with this guy with a very unique lifestyle. And it was going to take a little bit of time for that relationship to bond and to galvanize. And it did take some time. But in the meantime, Rob made some great money. He made more money than he ever made in ECW or anywhere else.
Sure, for sure.
So, notwithstanding the fact he got paid on time.
So, in case you're not familiar with the promo, The Rock is out here talking about how there's all these different animals that want to penetrate Vince McMahon anally. Yep, that's what we're talking about.
That's that is a TV 14 show. And that's what we were rated at that time, TV 14. So we've done away with PG and it went to TV 14. And this is a great example in that line there. I'm sure that Brian Gortz wrote that line. And don't dismiss The Rock's creativity, because he was right there throwing things in.
And now we see the interruption here from Jericho. Don't forget, this is how Jericho debuted, interrupting The Rock. And now we're going to pick up where we left off, I guess, because now it's Jericho's time, as we know. We didn't know that then, but in hindsight, we know, boy, at the next pay-per-view, he becomes the man. Let's see what Jericho is going to say here to The Rock. And he's over with this crowd too, but maybe not quite like The Rock at this point.
Now, Jericho, I don't think has any business, quite frankly, being out here right now. I don't think The Rock thinks he does either. And the crowd again chanting for the world's champion.
They're milking it, Conrad. They're milking the crowd.
It's funny, The Rock, that you mentioned the millions. Because it was the millions that have led me to a certain epiphany. Yeah, last week on SmackDown, when I beat you with your very own move.
That happened. It did happen on Thanksgiving night.
I had a moment of clarity. And in that moment, I realized what the problem with Y2J was.
I was wondering that myself.
I realized what the biggest weakness of Y2J was.
Weakness?
And you know what it was?
We'll lose his train of thought here.
Yeah, that weakness was I cared.
Cared?
I actually cared about what the people thought about me.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. You should care. Ecoholic.
I actually cared about their opinions. When I arrived at an arena, I wasn't concerned with how am I going to win my match tonight. No, I was concerned with how am I going to entertain the people. Well, you know what? You know what? That was a lot of fun, but let's be honest. Where did that ever get me? Where did that ever get me?
He's got a point, JR.
And Lawler's full of the little one-liners tonight, isn't he?
He's back in his rhythm, right?
Yeah.
I stopped worrying about the millions and started worrying about the one that I had neglected more than any, and that one was me, Y2J. And now, as a result of that, I have become an even bigger star than I ever could have imagined. a bigger star than even these people could have imagined. I have become larger than life.
Wow, man, that's an eagle. Man, this kid has changed.
And now I'm completely focused at the task at hand, The Rock. And that is beating the living hell out of you at Vengeance and becoming the undisputed champion. And further cementing my status as the new living legend of the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, you can tell, JR, he really feels it. He's pulling himself, this Jericho. He believes in himself now. You gotta win matches, not popularity contests. He's running to
The rebuttal should be a classic.
There's no telling. I mean, she's so over.
So you want to be a living legend? Oh, you're going to be a legend, all right, Chris Jericho. Because it's at Vengeance that all these people, the former Jericho-holics, are going to witness The Rock beat you. Because it's going to be at Vengeance that The Rock whooped your ass, and The Rock is going to whoop your ass tonight.
Uh-oh. Who gets one, Rock?
Oh, yeah. The Rock is going to whoop your ass at Vengeance. The Rock is going to whoop your ass tonight. And The Rock won't stop until he goes into Vengeance, walks out undisputed champion. And since you walked out and interrupted The Rock in the first place, you straight punk bitch.
Oh, my God. These guys, these two men, what a rivalry here. This is a silly person.
This one time is for you on behalf of the millions and millions. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Boy, there's a man.
He's over.
I don't know that we'll ever see another one like him. My goodness.
He's over, man. He's over.
Have you
And
seen?
you know, he's also he's not selfish. Talking about Dwayne, and he wanted to help make Jericho a star. And he wanted to leave the company as solid as he could in his absence.
We see Edge coming out now. Of course, we were just talking about Christian. It's remarkable what he's been able to do. Come back after that long layoff. A lot of people thought that was the end of Edge, and he had one of the longest matches in WrestleMania history. So not only is he still around, but boy, physically, he's probably in as good a shape as he's ever been. He's going to be taking on Test here, who unfortunately is no longer with us. You see the Intercontinental Championship around Test's waist, and maybe I'm in the minority here, Jim, but whenever I think of Test as a singles competitor, I more often think of this run, like him with the Intercontinental Championship, even more so than when he was the Rated R Superstar. And I love that stuff, but I just think of him as maybe one of my favorite Intercontinental champions of all time.
Yeah, so versatile. Adam Copeland is a great human being. You know, somebody I saw made everybody listens to our show, and these other sites click on it or do that. Where the hell they take excerpts from it. But I said, you know, when Edge had a chance to come to AEW and he stated WWE was the right thing for him to do. That's where his legacy is. He's been there forever. And his wife works there, done a great job as a broadcaster. Very bright young woman. She's got some new music out, which is kind of cool. And I love the fact they've, you know, his whole lifestyle's changed. You know, they live in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. You ever been to Asheville, Conrad?
I have not, but I've seen pictures. Megan's told me all about it. We
cool.
Check it out one day.
Yeah, you should. Great restaurants, beautiful area. So I've been there several times, and it's always been a pleasure. Adam was starting to come into his own. He's just so fluid. Everything he does, everything makes sense. He knocks the guy down twice, then he goes for a cover. A lot of guys in today's world would go to something else. When the shoulders are down, go for it. Only takes 3 seconds.
As we're seeing them work through a pretty good match here, we just talked about Test and what could have been. It certainly felt like they were trying to do some stuff here in 2001. Vince certainly saw something in him, almost like a young blonde-haired Kevin Nash. I mean, big, imposing dude. Lindsay has a question for us. She wants to know, why was William Regal often associated with bathroom humor? Is it just something that the writers knew would always make Vince McMahon laugh?
Yes. It always entertained Vince. It was a skit that if you pitched it, you had a real good chance of it going through and making air. And let's not forget the fact Regal was very good at humor.
Oh, the best.
Great comedic timing. He's influenced by a lot of those great British comedians, stand-up guys, and so forth. So he just was really good at it. So I thought it was good booking because you played to the talent strength.
You know, it might seem like a silly question, but you know, there is this thing in wrestling that is joked about sometimes called gimmick infringement. And Fernando Diaz has an interesting one that I never even considered. When Trish started bringing out the cowgirl hat, was JR consulted? That seems maybe a little silly, but at the same time, I understand if we're marketing under the black hat and you're the guy with a cowboy hat, and now there's another performer using the same sort of deal, although she had her own style, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. You're not going to confuse either hat or either person.
No, you're not.
No, she didn't consult with me. I did tease her about it. I do remember that. And she kind of looked a little mischievous, like, well, you know, but no, there's no issues whatsoever. You know, I recruited and signed her. I was all for her getting over. Same with these two guys. Let's get you over.
Of course, we're going to give a little bit of a spoiler here, but I think everyone remembers the setup here for how you wind up joining the Kiss My Ass Club. James wants to know, was it Undertaker's idea to turn heel? This is the era where we're seeing him as the American badass more and more, and he's primarily been a face. What do you remember about the discussion of, hey, we tried it with Austin, it didn't work, maybe we got to try it with Undertaker now?
Well, I don't know that it was Mark's idea to turn villain, go heel, but I'm sure he blessed it or he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
He's a company guy, he's a team player. So I'm sure he contributed a great deal. It's just time for a little change. You know, he went from the dead man to this American badass, and it's just something he wanted to try. Old friend Timmy White there just took a bump. Probably wish he was back serving draft beer at the Friendly Tap. These are sequences. I'm not big on the booking. You got the advantage. You're 3 seconds away from winning, but you leave the ring with the advantage, and the goal is always to win the match. Herm Edwards here again.
You play to win the game. Yeah.
Play to win the game. There's Matt Bloom, who's one of the leading coaches in the Performance Center. Matt was quite the football player. I think he played at Michigan. And I believe his dad may have played for the Patriots way back in the day. His dad's a big guy too. So here we go. They needed an out. And they got one.
The big spear. Michael McClanahan says, do you believe it was a mistake to turn the Undertaker heel during this time period here in 2001?
No, it's just a fresh coat of paint on an engine that could still run. And if it's going to make the talent happy, and it did, then you got a win-win situation. So no, I don't think it was a mistake. You know, he was still loved and respected, but nonetheless, it was. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Freshened him up. It gave new dialogue regarding his character, and that in a positive way. I thought, not a bad deal.
As we get closer to the segment that we're really here for, we're going to see Stone Cold come out for the Kiss My Ass Club segment, and we're going to track it. But you'll notice he doesn't get maybe the reaction you expect. But I want to remind everybody, the last time they were in Oklahoma, we were trying to turn Steve Austin heel. And how do you make sure that he gets booed in Oklahoma? You have him beat the hell out of their own. He beat the hell out of you here in Oklahoma. So now when he comes out for this segment, maybe fans still remember that, and they're not going as wild for Stone Cold as they might have without that attack.
Could be. You know, fans are loyal, no doubt about that. I was bloodied up on that night too, so it was kind of dramatic and memorable in that respect. That's when he decided to use a scaffold on my head instead of a blade. I wasn't aware of that until we got in the ring, by the way. I guess it wouldn't have made any difference. I'd have done it anyway. I know one thing, my little late wife was very unhappy with me over that scenario. She didn't realize I was going to bleed as much as I did, and quite frankly, neither did I. Regal's facial expressions, if you look at this young wrestlers, every step means something.
Yep.
His body English means something. His facial expressions mean everything. He just looks at people with total disdain.
This is after the third time we've seen the urine spot. The third time.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty crazy that this is where we are the third time, but William Regal is out now. I want to mention you wrote in your book, which is available now, by the way, jrsbbq.com is where you can get Under the Black Hat and
get it signed, Connie.
That is the perfect Christmas present for the wrestling fan in your life, an autographed copy of that book. You wrote in that book, my wife, daughters, family, and friends gathered ringside to see their husband, father, and friend get on his knees and canoodle the shaved, tanned, tensed buns of his boss for quote unquote entertainment. You also wrote in your book that Vince liked to do ass tricks. Now, of course, I know he mentioned that on the microphone, but around the office sometimes, maybe after a bottle of red wine.
I don't know about that. I never saw Vince drink red wine in the office. It was all work. But he was proud of his physique, and he's proud of how he worked out. So sometimes he'd flex. Let's say he liked flexing.
Okay.
All those bodybuilders like flexing. So now Regal's trying to get a match out of the Big Show, who's still earning his stripes, still developing. Less is more for a guy like Big Show. He should not even be wrestling every week. I totally disagree with putting an attraction style wrestler like Big Show or Andre or some of those guys that were special size wise and having them overexposing them on television every week. You can do vignettes, you can talk about them, all that stuff, but I don't want to see them every week. I want to keep them special because his repertoire is what it is. And I don't mean in a negative way regarding Paul White. And lo and behold,
those damn brass knuckles.
Yeah, man, look at this. Boom. Great bump by the Big Show. He sold it like a true pro. And then Regal gets rid of the evidence. He can't be convicted because there's no weapon in sight. But he's knocked Big Show out. And boy, there's chaotic scene here in Oklahoma City. But Regal beats the Big Show. And now look how happy he is. Like he beat him with a wrist lock. He's limping, he's selling, he's got that stance, that demeanor. There's how you look as a heel. He just had great psychology.
And we go backstage and we see Vince McMahon, and look who's coming in. Let's take a listen.
Since when you sent for me? Look, I asked you to come here tonight to ask you, did you have a good Thanksgiving? Like you give a damn. I do care. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, it was me, Mr. McMahon, who put you in the main event against my so-called boy, Kurt Angle, on Thanksgiving night. Remember that? Mm-hmm. What do you want to thank you? I didn't ask for one. I asked you if you had a good Thanksgiving, and I know you did. I'm going to clear up one thing right now. When I came down to that ring with a chair in my hand, you know what I was going to do with it? No, why don't you tell me? If you didn't let go of Kurt Angle, I was going to knock the hell out of you. Is that right? Yeah. Because I care. You what? Because I care. You see, I've been caring for 11 long years.
You have a funny way of showing it.
Maybe I do. When you said in the ring, Thanksgiving night, you were just looking for a little respect. That's all I've ever given you for 11 long years is nothing but respect, because I never had to look behind me to know you were there. I took it for granted. Yes, I did. In a roundabout way, dead man, that's the ultimate respect you can pay somebody. To take for granted they're going to be there through the thick and the thin when everybody else runs and flees like rabbits. You were right there. I could count on you. That's respect. You think about that. Now then, you think about something else. You owe me.
Now what? Wait a minute, I didn't hear you.
You owe me.
Oh, do tell.
Because you see, you're the real deal. You are the American badass. There's nobody like you. You kick ass, yeah, major league, but you do it here in the World Wrestling Federation. If you were to kick ass on the outside, they call that assault and battery. Your ass would be in jail. You do what you do here in the World Wrestling Federation. Thank you, Mr. McMahon. One other thing I want you to think about.
What's that?
You may not agree, but in my view, you and me, we're a lot alike.
So the seeds have been sown. What did you think of that segment?
Really good, really good, and it was extemporaneous. You know, there wasn't a script because Taker's timing was perfect, and you don't get that by getting your lines early in the afternoon to go and memorize and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse like you would for a Broadway play. Speaking of Broadway,
Biding my time. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to come back and get my revenge. And believe me, JR, I will have it. Because truth be told, I'm too big of a talent to be ignored. Too great of an athlete to be held back. And someday, I'll get my spot. Someday, I will wreak havoc.
Hey, Storm! You threw mop in the floor. There's a toilet in the back. It's not going to unclog itself.
Oh my gosh! He's a janitor at WWF New York!
Pretty fun little segment there for Lance Storm. We had a great follow-up question about Lance from Aaron. Aaron wants to know, does JR believe Lance Storm was ahead of his time? It was all about getting these bigger, larger than life personalities at the time getting over. But do you think Lance would have been able to get over in today's wrestling as a pure wrestling babyface based on his technical wrestling ability?
absolutely. Lance Storm is a talented guy. He had a great school there for a long time there in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I got a lot of respect for Lance. You'll never find anybody any more reliable and trustworthy and skilled than Lance Storm. So he'd get over in any era because he could work.
And we see Chris Jericho coming to the ring right now. I want to mention they're going to do a follow-up to this show in Tulsa. Now that's a house show, but this is directly from the Observer. Jim Ross announced the match. Actually, a mixed reaction for both Austin and Angle, which was a surprise. Test and Regal both interfered, but Austin scored the pin to retain with the stunner again. Austin disappeared at that point, leaving Test and Regal to be Austin's post-match foils. They doubled on him until Ross slid a chair to Austin, who cleared house with it. The show ended with Austin, Earl Hebner, and Jim Ross all drinking beer in the ring. What do you remember of this house show in Tulsa?
That was a lot of fun. My kids were there. That's where they live. That's where I started my career in wrestling, 1974. So it's kind of cool, nostalgic, and to get a little bit of my push back was kind of cool. And, you know, I couldn't screw up slipping a chair in the ring. The only thing I could do is stumble and fall and hit myself with it, which didn't happen, thank God. So it was cool. It's fun.
Was that sort of, do you think Vince McMahon booking that or allowing that or what have you is his way of saying, oh, come on, Jim, it's not all that bad?
Well, it might have been, but the issue is he used that crowd that he knew was going to be very pro JR because I started there. And I never, I've always professed my love for my home state. And so people knew that I was a Sooner. I was an Okie. So he just used the audience the same way he used this audience right here, only just reverse the casting. Instead of me being, humiliated and all that stuff, I got a little rub from the rattlesnake and a steel chair.
So it's going to be The Rock here taking on both Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle at the same time. That's right, a handicap match, which is a little silly. But what do you know? Ric Flair is going to come out and add Kane to the match, team with The Rock. Talk to me a little bit about, when you find out the creative. Is this something you know ahead of time? Does he tell you the week before, the week of, at the office, or do you find out when you get to the building, hey, guess what you're doing today?
No, I knew before I got there. The Vince normally got the TV shows toward the end of the week and did his thing with them and tweaked them and so forth. He said, here's what I want to do in Oklahoma City. It wasn't, here's what I'd like to do if you're okay with it.
Right.
Because he knew my mindset. I was going to be okay with it. Even if I didn't like the creative, and I didn't like this creative, I was still going to execute the game plan. I'm still going to run the plays. And simple as that. And boy, this is, I feel really proud. I signed all these guys. That's probably I always thought that if I have anything left, a legacy of whatever it may be somewhere down the road, I hope it includes some of these guys we brought in and gave the opportunity to become stars and become wealthy Hall of Famers. The mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. I got to believe that somewhere down the road, Ben Jacobs is going to have there's going to be bigger and better things for him politically. He's the kind of guy you need in the government because he's honest.
You know something we don't know?
Earl Hebner, hell of a referee, does a great job. He's always done a great job. I was hoping we might see Earl in Norfolk a week or two ago, but unfortunately that didn't happen. It's a little bit of a drive too. It's little travel issues, but
I want to mention as we're watching a pretty good match here as we see Kurt Angle tagging out to Chris Jericho to take on The Rock. The Undertaker is going to turn heel in this last segment on the show, and it's one of many turns. I mean, essentially all the top guys have turned in the most recent weeks. Jericho's turned heel. Austin's turned face. Vince has turned heel. Angle has went heel to face to heel again. And now the Undertaker's a bad guy. When it's happening this frequently, this just reeks of bad creative or bad planning. I mean, it feels reactionary, right?
Yeah, it's like a talent working a match and not slowing down and letting some of the great things that he or she does the time to be processed. It was a whole lot of new information coming your way, and so that was an issue there. Is that it's almost like you need a program. These guys had a really nice handicap match and subsequent tag. But Rock is just so unselfish. He's taking everything in the book, belly to belly suplex, whatever. He's selling beautifully. So this is a match with a ton of talent. You can make an argument that all these guys are, including the referee, are Hall of Fame level people.
Oh, for sure. I don't think that it's even an argument, really. I mean, these are all huge stars, and it's an interesting time in the business because you would think, conventional wisdom would say, well, wow, the WWF beat ECW and they beat WCW, and now they're standing all alone and they got all this talent. Business must be through the roof, and that is not the case. And of course, we know the next year TNA would try their best to be an alternative, and to varying degrees of success. I mean, I think at their height, they were doing more than 2 million people watching every week on TV, but they just never really built the same fanfare and rabid fan base that WWE did. And now, of course, in a more modern era, we're seeing AEW take a stab at it. But there's been a lot of talk lately, Jim, with all the new releases from Ring of Honor and all of the new releases from WWE between last year and this year, that perhaps now more than ever, they're ripe for a new company to emerge. Would you be surprised to see another company put together and try to make a run at the big time?
Oh, probably not. But the whole thing centers around, do you have a television clearance that
Right.
people can find and utilize? It's all about talent and television. There's enough talent out there, and you can control how you use them for the talent issue to be not the biggest problem. But if you don't have a strong television clearance, then it's not going to, all you're going to do is spend somebody's money. So when you and Jeff Jarrett do your company, make sure you got a good clearance that airs every week at the same time.
Will you stop? That's not happening. Don't believe everything you see online.
Somebody asked me about that, and I said, I can't speak for Jeff. Jeff might be for it. I don't know. He's a wrestling guy. Conrad is a businessman.
I'm not doing it. Yes.
Conrad is not going to spend money on a brand new wrestling promotion.
No, sir.
But you're right. Somebody will try, no doubt about it, if they can get a television clearance.
It's just interesting. You know, you hear lots of theories about this company wants that streaming and that company wants this streaming. Maybe there's a streaming opportunity, but with all of this talent, you know, and don't get me wrong, it is high fives all around for a lot of those guys who feel like they weren't being rewarded creatively. But I do wonder, with this new influx between the Ring of Honor roster and so many from the WWE roster, how that will affect the indies, because there's only so many jobs in wrestling to go around.
It's going to strengthen the indies.
Yes.
They're going to have the opportunity, their pool of, their pool of talent has increased enormously. So I would say it's a great thing for the indies. It's giving them talents to book that they heretofore didn't have the opportunity to do. And I think that's great, because the indie success is just good for the business. You know, it's just good for the business, Conrad. The wrestling business, obviously, I'm referring to.
We see a couple of hot tags here. So Jericho and The Rock are coming in, and of course, The Rock's going to get the better of that exchange. Is there anybody that you're familiar with their work in Ring of Honor that you think would be a good fit in AEW? You know, somebody like the Briscoes. I mean, we just saw Jay Lethal come over, but do you think there'll be anyone else that really catches your attention?
I'm a big fan of the Briscoes. So the Briscoes to me is a no-brainer to add to our tag team division, whether it happens or not. You know, I don't know what those two brothers, those two chicken farmers want to do, but I love their work.
Me too.
They're unique and they're different. I think now I don't want to offend anybody in Ring of Honor, but I think we got the top of the food chain there with Jay Lethal.
Oh, Lethal was tremendous. Yeah. Great hire.
His first match with Sammy Guevara was absolutely outstanding. And he's a guy that's young enough to still get it done. This is a great opportunity for him. And the Rock wins it.
Who's more excited about Lethal or some of the guys in the back who are going to make him do Macho Man on command? I bet Arn Anderson is tickled with his Macho Man, if I had to guess.
He does a real good Ric Flair impersonation.
Oh yeah, he does.
And a real good Macho Man impersonation. He's a very creative guy, is Jay Lethal. I'm really glad we have him. I think he's going to add a lot of maturity, experience, and talent to what we're doing. He could be a babyface or a heel. He can enhance anybody he's working with, which is always very, very important, especially when you got a young roster like we do, by and large, at AEW. So I'm glad we got him. But the Briscoes would be a good choice, Conrad, because of the tag teams that we have. They would fit really well in there.
Now The Rock, who stepped out of the ring halfway, looked like he was leaving, and now he's coming back. Let's track it.
And The Rock not taking his eyes off perhaps his biggest adversary. Here it comes.
So we know what's coming next. It's the big segment, the big kiss my ass segment. So you told us you knew going in. Did you tell the family ahead of time, or did you just not have the heart to do that?
It wasn't really about Hart. I like for them to be surprised and enjoy the show. And so, no, I didn't have any conversations with them at all. But, you know, here's the interesting part about this deal. Look at who all was in the ring. Well, they were our lead in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd to even think of, but that's how the whole angle was positioned. And it was positioned that way to get Vince over more as a heel. Because he was so successful as a villain, the Austin McMahon stuff was classic. Made the company a lot of money. And some would even go as far as to speculate it helped motivate investors to go to support the public nature of the company. So whether that's true or not, I don't think it hurt anything, because the Austin McMahon stuff increased our profitability immensely.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what that was all about.
Now
all right, here we're crunch time.
My business partner has a little surprise for me. Makes that a tag match as opposed to a handicap match with The Rock. All right, okay. You know, I get that, but that's all right. We get the last laugh, because there's not a damn thing Mr. Flair can do about Stone Cold Steve Austin kissing my ass in the ring.
You gave me a present before and it was most appreciated. Right. So I'd like to return the favor, and this is for you.
Chapstick.
I think it's time for Stone Cold to do a little ass kissing, boys. What do you say? Huh? Put that to good use. Oh, yeah. Make sure you got my back. Not that I'm going to need it, but you got my back, right?
You got your back. Absolutely. Don't you worry about
and Austin's going to have my back.
Go, Steve Austin. There's his locker room, and wait a minute. 50 pitches. Looks like the rattlesnake's been bringing down a little bit of that liquid courage, JR. This is gonna be great.
Lawler was in rare form. He'd been off work. He got back. He never met a pause in the action that he didn't like to fill verbally. And he was really good at it too, man.
And we see the chairman coming to the ring now, and this is going to be like a 20-minute segment. Here's what Meltzer had to say about it. The final segment, which lasted some 20 minutes, saw Undertaker turn and forced Ross's mouth to touch Vince's behind. Reportedly, Ross was very upset about the angle. Anyone with the slightest bit of dignity, something a television performer in WWF has to check at the door when signing his contract, would be upset. The fact it was seemingly clear to the employees that he is a bad sign. Most of them at times have to allow themselves to be humiliated, sometimes for good reason, and often just because management gets off on humiliating the Tazes and the Big Shows of the world for reasons ranging from annoying the wrong person to being a highly paid underachiever. Ooh. As VP in charge of talent relations, he has many times been put in angles, particularly in the Vince Russo era, designed to humiliate him, particularly when Russo tried to get him removed as announcer and have Michael Cole accepted as the main host. Think about that decision in hindsight. And done them in a combination of his job and not wanting to set a bad example for other employees. So there he was being ordered to do so, even though portrayed as defiant in a city where he was the point man and promoting the show with his contacts as the local boy makes good in the media and in front of his family members and friends that he almost never gets to see. Woof.
Strong,
Tough deal here, dude.
That's strong. Well, I be honest with you, I should have had a better attitude going into this thing. Now in my later years, I certainly would. But you know, you're younger. That was 20 years ago, right, Connie?
Yep. 20
years ago. I was 49 years old. So I was a little bit more defiant, a little bit more contentious, but I shouldn't have been. That just sold into Vince's pleasure. I should have done it and without any boo-boo face, but I didn't, and that's my fault. I'll take full responsibility for that.
In hindsight, you wish you would have handled it a little differently?
Yeah, I wish I'd have taken it more like a seasoned pro and not been a crybaby. It wasn't just me. I didn't understand I learned to understand it. Vince just trying to get heat on himself,
right?
So that he could rekindle a group. So everybody that Vince touches, whether it be Regal or the Dudleys or whomever, are going to mean more because Mr. McMahon has blessed them and he has all this heat.
Do you think this is maybe when you think of all the crazy stuff that happened, you know, the Dr. Heine thing, I think they set you on fire once.
Yeah.
And there's been some silly stuff that happened, right? Where does the Kiss My Ass Club rank as the most? Oh, what the fuck, Vince, for you?
Oh, it's right up there at the top. You know, it's among those. It's among the favorites. But you know, again, I should have not taken it so damn personally. That's on me. And so now here we go.
Let's track it.
Say it's time. He got the pants unzipped. For you to get on your knees.
What?
Also, I said it's time for you to get on your knees.
What?
Scale of 1 to 10, how annoying did what become for you?
10.
Yeah.
A healthy fat 10. Big old fat 10, Conrad. In all caps, underscored. Click this. You know, that was that was derived from Christian calling Steve on his cell phone while they were driving. And Steve would screw with Christian and say, what? You know, like he couldn't, the signal was breaking up. And that's where the what came into play.
And Stone Cold, as the story goes, has been drinking beer all day, and now he's drinking it in the ring and calling for more.
Oh, Steve would catch a beer can, couldn't he?
He's pretty good at it. He's got it down pat.
As a lush. This has got a luscious butt. Why don't you just kiss it?
Are you going to kiss my ass or not?
You don't want to get beer all
You know,
over
I've been thinking about that, Vince, in the last few months. I've seen you for what you are. I think I've gotten a little smarter in the process.
A little drunker.
I don't want Austin versus McMahon too. It's time for Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon to bury the hatchet.
There you go, Jerry's gonna do it. You were wrong.
That's exactly my point.
Yes. So kiss it.
So pucker up.
Wipe that beer off your mouth first. Here it comes. The $1 billion butt. Oh, look out.
See, if I took this today, then like I've taken it today,
There it is.
my life would have been a lot better.
Do you like Vince's rear end, King? I like to see Stone
You're
Cold
about
kiss
the
it.
ugliest stripper I've ever seen in my life.
Hey.
Is that supposed to be sexy?
What?
Before you kiss my ass, hang on a second.
Oh, now, wait a minute. We'll make you mad.
Your lips look like they could use a little of this.
Yeah. Put on that chapstick.
You know, a few years ago, before Bruce went back, I got him a whole bushel of custom chapsticks, and I had them labeled Stanford chapstick. Wonder if he still got any of those.
They're probably in a box somewhere.
Your breath
Isolated.
smells like beer.
There's a good reason for that.
Does it really smell that bad?
This is the final segment on a wrestling show, Jim.
I know. I remember, Connie.
This is something you said anybody here would do, right?
Sure.
There's absolutely no doubt. Now, hang on.
What's this?
I just happen to have a bottle of mouthwash with me. Imagine that.
That's for later.
Do you think there's any chance we ever get to see a Tony Khan Kiss My Ass Club?
No. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't think so.
I wonder if Eric Bischoff will be the first candidate if that were to happen.
Screen. That's the good stuff. But best for Mr.
But if
McMahon.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the right way. That's the way Stone Cold Steve Austin does things.
There you go. Gargle, gargle. Ugh. What do you think his bathroom looks like?
You satisfied yet? On your knees.
On your knees. Build them laugh. Build them laugh.
They aren't believe it. Look at that. There it is. $1 billion.
Look, cute little tan lines.
Ed, take a look at that ass. There's not one blemish on that beautiful ass. Not one.
No flaws at all. Make it do some tricks. Come on, man. I hope we don't make it cut the cheese.
That's it.
I cannot believe this. He's on his knees, King. The Robinson.
Before you,
Look at him in the brown eye. I mean the eye.
come on, before I kiss your ass, could you make it do one of them tricks you're talking
Yeah,
about?
do it. There it is.
Now, damn it, let's get on with it. And if I kiss your ass, that means it's over between you and me, right? That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, kiss my ass.
This is the Kodak moment. Austin's going to do it. Set your VCRs. Tape this. You want to show it to your grandchildren. Stone Cold Steve Austin kissing Vince McMahon's ass.
You ever use any toilet paper?
Hey,
Wow.
You got to understand how hard this is for me.
do it.
I don't have all night, damn it. Kiss my ass and it's over between us. Now, damn it, do just like every one of these people would do. Pucker up and kiss my ass.
Imagine flipping through the channels.
Oh, there's the low.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Austin's getting over. He's beating up the villain.
Yep.
With a belt.
Yeah.
And on that skin, and of course, here comes the backup, the Dudleys, Regal. So they're going to shut Austin down. There's Christian. So the odds, and there's Kurt. So there's plenty of muscle and plenty of distraction to assault Austin. This also gives Austin some potential opponents, by the by.
It's unbelievable that this was the main event segment of the #1 wrestling show in the world. And you may have been a lapsed fan flipping through the channels and you see Vince McMahon with his ass hanging out and Steve Austin squatted down behind him on his knees. You had to wonder.
You think you're watching an episode of Oz back in the old days.
Yeah.
Like a scene out of a prison movie. Look at that red shit on Vince's ass where Austin spanked him with that belt.
Yeah, he enjoyed getting those in, you know it. And now, of course, we have to see a replay of the ass segment. We're still going, guys. We're like halfway through this ass segment.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to end.
There's
great Vince, great facials, great selling
though too. It's silly as, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people question the stuff that Vince does, and hey, was that fair and was that right? And we've done some of that today. But boy, he was willing to put himself out there and do some of the same silly shit, was he not?
Yeah, yeah. He had no fear. He had no shame. All for the betterment of the show is his mindset. Now Kurt stooges me off because I was kind of laughing. Hillbilly boy.
Well, it was. You were laughing. It was kind of funny.
All you people laugh at me, Vince McMahon.
It's funny, King. Gotta admit.
I'll give you something to laugh at.
I wasn't laughing. That was funny, don't you think? I mean,
not that funny.
what the hell do you want?
Drug me across that announce table with ruthless aggression or something. Oh, look at that. You see him rub his gimmick on my hat?
Rubbed his gimmick on my hat.
Hey, it's real funny, isn't it, huh? Hey, JR, it's real funny, isn't it, huh? All you people laughing at me, Vince McMahon. Well, guess what? Guess what's going to happen, JR?
Uh-oh.
You know what? Yeah, I'm going to make you do exactly what vicariously each and every one of these people are going to do. You know what? Because these people are going to kiss my ass through you. Get him down. No, wait a minute. Come on, Vince.
I was about to reverse this on the Olympic champion, but I didn't want to embarrass him.
Yeah, that would have been tough for him. You know, he wouldn't have recovered.
He's got the hooks in.
I can't believe this is real, but yeah.
Here we go.
Kiss my ass. Don't do it.
Well, here he comes. The baddest dude on the block. Mr. McMahon's getting dressed again for about the third time.
That was at least good writing, right? Right when it's about to happen.
Yeah.
Play the Undertaker's music. People are ready for that. Somebody's going to save our guy. Here we go. And it's
Undertaker's not going to let this travesty transpire.
And let's track it here because we got quite a situation here. So we've got Undertaker on the left. You're crawling over to his side. Kurt Angle on the right with Vince McMahon behind him. So it looks like it's almost 2-on-2. Let's take a listen.
I have a very distressed look on my face, Connie. You notice that?
You've been traumatized.
Taker picking up the old hat, wiping it off, handing it to me like the baby face we hoped he would be.
Listen to the crowd. They're so ready for the Undertaker.
I've been here a long damn time. And just when I think I've seen everything, you got to take the cake.
This has taken the cake.
Oh, Lawler's just going crazy.
See if I got this right. You want this man to kiss your ass? And you're going to force this man to kiss his ass.
Not today.
You know, in 11 years, I've seen a lot of people come and I've seen a lot of them go. Hogan, Warrior, Savage, Piper, Brett, Shawn Michaels. I've seen the games they played and I've seen the games you played. Oh. You know what? When it was all said and done, somewhere or another, they all kissed your ass.
Huh?
You know what the saddest thing about that is? The one that kissed your ass the most was me.
What?
11 years I've been here. 11 years I kissed your ass. I stayed, and I'm still putting up with your crap.
Wow, bare the soul.
So, JR, before I take care of this situation, I just want to know, were you going to kiss his ass?
Hell no, I'm going to kiss his ass.
What a baby face, Conrad. Oh, my boys, I have chills.
Do you want to kiss his ass?
Hell no.
Ooh.
The man said no. So, JR, tell me this.
This is real smart writing right here.
Yes.
Is that because you're better than me?
Oh,
What? Whoa!
well, that was a great punch. He's so masterful.
Because right here, whether you like it or not, in front of your family and all these okie podunks, you are gonna kiss his ass. Vince, drop your pants.
Can't believe what I'm seeing.
I can't believe what I'm hearing.
You think that you are better than me?
The Undertaker.
Don't you? You're better than me. You can't kiss his ass. Well, let me tell you something, Jerry Lawler. You're gonna kiss his ass, and I'm gonna see to it.
I cannot believe what the Undertaker comes out here and says that he's been kissing Vince's ass for 11 years.
Pucker up, bitch.
Look at this.
So there it is. Pucker up.
Vince, he can't kiss your ass. That ain't right.
Incoming.
Just ain't right. He can't kiss your ass till you're wearing the man's hat.
What?
Now, get over here and kiss his ass.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't going to go for the
crack.
No.
Well,
my hat's getting abused.
He's skipping around the ring, slapping his, playing giddy up with your hat on his ass.
Yeah.
And the final part of your book about this says he was dancing around the ring while Limp Bizkit played over the speakers. The chairman was like a kid in Disneyland, hopped up on sugar after meeting his favorite character. I swear he wasn't this happy the day his company went public. The man was literally doing laps around the ring while holding his junk, slapping his own ass with my hat. And we went off the air to end the show. And there it is, man. Maybe at the top of the list, the most embarrassing moment of your career.
I'm so happy you guys selected this. No, I'm kidding.
Thanksgiving tradition.
Yeah, it is. And next year at Thanksgiving, let's do something else. Let's just eat. Let's just show you and I eating. That'd be an interesting deal. You know, us having a meal together and talking about it probably is a good idea.
You know what? I'm for it next year. I mean, I've been trying to invite you to my house for like 5 fucking years now for Thanksgiving, and show me every year.
Hey, one year you sent me your mama's cornbread dressing.
I did.
You FedExed it or something.
Yeah, overnighted it. I mean, listen, you bragged about it forever, how much you miss Jan's, and
yeah,
my mom makes a mean one. I don't know that it travels well, but let's just see. And
it did, man. I think I ate it for like 3 days.
That's awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, your mama's a sweetheart. And that's how it worked. Again, my only reservation, I should have taken it better. I should not have taken it so seriously. And, but I did, because I thought there's a little personal agenda involved in this deal a little bit. So, in any event, I did the best I could with it. I remember Shane McMahon saying, well, you should have gone in the crack. I said, F you, Shane. Why don't you do it? I did the best I could with what I had to work with. I will say this. Somebody said, what did it smell like?
Oh, God.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. What did it smell like? I'll tell you what it smelled like, Conrad. Baby powder. Baby powder. Which is a little, whatever. But anyway, we got it done. Took care of our business. The fact that we trumped Rock and all those dudes, Jericho, so forth, in the previous match that's leading into a pay-per-view. Vince and I are going to a pay-per-view. I'm going to go work. He's going to go do his thing, but he got his heat. And again, the guys that touch him going forward should have a little bit of additional heat because of Vince's radiance. So we'll see. But anyway, interesting times, to say the least.
No doubt about it. It was a lot of fun to go back and revisit. We hope you guys were entertained with a little stuffed turkey and a little stuffed Vince today. I don't know that I'm with you. I don't think we'll do that one again next year, but next week we're going to be back talking about the pay-per-view after this. Or I guess that's 2 weeks from now. We'll be talking about Vengeance 2001 in 2 weeks, but next week, something a little different. Michael Cole. And Michael Cole has, in my opinion, maybe been the Steve Young of WWE broadcasters. Longtime football fans will remember Joe Montana was the GOAT. And when he left San Francisco, Steve Young had some pretty big shoes to fill. Even after he won a Super Bowl, I don't know that everybody came around and considered him the heir apparent that they wanted for Joe Montana. But boy, if you were the Joe Montana of WWE, Michael Cole is the Steve Young, or at least that's my opinion. What do you think we might talk about next week when we talk about Michael Cole?
Timeout. Well, you know, he gets a bad rap, and he did for years.
Let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com.
The creative regarding Michael was, you know, a little bit questionable, shall we say, kind of try to destroy his manhood as well. But I didn't really ever have any negative issues with him. I like to think that, you know, when I was off with Bell's palsy and he took my spot there, that I helped him. I produced announce talent. I was still at work by and large, or more often than not, and I produced the announce talent. And I'd like to think, I hope I did. He said this before, that I helped him a lot, and I wanted to help him. He said he's a good guy, and you know, his wife's had health issues. I've always respected Michael for being a great husband and very loyal. He's in charge now of all the announcers in WWE, and all Michael's doing is following Vince's mandate and Vince's philosophies on how announcers should be reproduced. So it'll be fun to go back and look at that scenario. I wasn't crazy about the angle that he and I did, because quite honestly, not because of any specific reason other than it took the time away from real wrestlers. And it just, I don't know who got over. I don't know what good it did for us in the long run, but it'll be fun to go back and talk about it. But I think Michael does a good job. He and Pat McAfee are a good team, and interesting. I listen to him when I can. I'm not a religious. Friday night, I watch Rampage,
of course,
when I'm home, but I don't always watch SmackDown. But I'm not boycotting. I'm not angry about it. I just other things I watch, and sometimes by Friday to watch another 2 hours of wrestling is a little bit more out of my purview. So, or as Dusty Rhodes would say, out of my repetenda. What the fuck is repetenda? So, are you an assassin
or an
errand boy? So, but yeah, it'll be fun. And Michael does a good job. I got nothing bad to say about Michael Cole. I mean, he's fulfilling the mandate that he has given. He said, the only thing I didn't really like, I saw where Jim Cornette's tirade on it was when Michael recently said he was an actor and not a play-by-play guy. He was an actor. God damn it, Conrad, that son of a bitch. He was here right now. I slapped his goddamn face. You know, when I was little, I was always Jerry Lawler. And then Kenny, that fat bastard, was Jackie Fargo. So Cornette didn't like it, but I don't agree with that, but I understand where he's coming from. He's kind of motivated to say that, quite frankly. So anyway, it'll be fun to talk about Michael. He's had a good career. I'm sure he's made good money. He's a very frugal guy. I remember when he came to me and said, what do you think Vince is going to say when I want to move out of the Northeast and move to South Texas, where his wife could be cared for more closely by her family? I said, he's not going to say anything. You're too valuable. And there's an airport there, you know, so you'll be fine. But I always enjoyed my interaction with him. He's got a great sense of humor, so it'll be fun. He's not me. You know, I had the luxury when I went on TBS of not following Gordon. I've always perceived, at least in my mind's eye, and a lot of people would agree with this, that Soley was the best play-by-play guy ever. And he taught me a lot. Just listening to him, his cadence, his pace, how he dissected things, how he got from one point to the next with interesting segues and so forth. But I didn't have to follow Gordon. Tony did. So Tony and David replacing Gordon Soley. You do the math. People are not there. And I'm not knocking Tony and David. It's just the issue that it's a whole different sound. You went from playing jazz to whatever type thing. So anyway, I didn't have to do that. Cole had to follow me. And I know that sounds very egocentric, and maybe that's part of my issues. My ego is too big. But he had to follow me, and a lot of people didn't like it. And all the efforts that were made to make me a heel, I never understood that. I never understood, Conrad, the obsession of wanting JR to be a villain. And I don't know, maybe they thought if I was a villain and I was miserable, I'd leave. I don't know. I have no idea. But nothing ran me off and nothing put me down to stay down. So, but I never understood the motivation for that. Can you figure that out? Do you understand? What would be your take on that?
No, I mean, listen, I really do think it's Joe Montana, Steve Young all over again. I mean, Michael Cole has done a great job. And I know a lot of fans listening to this will think that you and I are pandering, but we understand we've rarely heard Michael Cole be afforded the opportunity to just call a wrestling match. Instead, he's got to be doing the WWE dance. So when you've got Vince McMahon and others producing in your head and all these crazy things that you've got all these weird parameters, you have to judge it differently. But there was several years ago, they ran a network special where we got to hear Michael Cole do commentary on a show from Japan that had Finn Balor on it and Brock Lesnar on it. I think it was called Beast from the East. And you got to hear Michael Cole just do regular play-by-play. My goodness, he was fantastic. He did a great job. But I think a lot of people booed Steve Young and didn't support him because he wasn't Joe Montana. And I think a lot of our audience boos Michael Cole and doesn't cheer for Michael Cole because he's not Jim Ross. And I don't know that that's necessarily fair. And I'm looking forward to us having an opportunity for you to talk about, his rise in WWE, you sort of taking him under your wing at times and hear a little bit more about the man behind what we see on TV, the real life Michael Cole.
Good. Yeah. I look forward to that, Connie. Fred, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a positive show. So, we'll have fun with that next week. But until then, we hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving, right?
Well, Thanksgiving just happened this past weekend, Jim, or today, actually. My apologies. But this past weekend, I spent the entire weekend getting my turkey ready with JR's all-purpose seasoning. I don't know that we've spent enough time talking about that, but I have a whole plan of how I have started to do the turkeys this year, and I'm going to do it moving forward. I did the Creole in all my years past. This year, not the case. I did JR's all-purpose seasoning on not one, but two birds. I even found a way to make a brine out of a dry rub. How about that? How slick am I?
Yeah, man. I'm impressed. Food Network, here comes Connie.
Well, here's the thing. It makes it feel like I'm an expert, and all I really went to do is jrsbbq.com. Get the all-purpose seasoning. It's great on everything. I started my prep the weekend before Thanksgiving. We had the best turkeys we've ever had. You're going to probably be doing something like that come Christmas. If you're going to do some grilling on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, make sure you include JR's BBQ. And if you're not sure if you're going to have that lined up, make sure everybody in your life gets the hint. They are loaded with stocking stuffers at jrsbbq.com, are they not?
Absolutely. And we're working every day. The site's always open. It's always staffed. Stephen Link does a great job there running that thing and handling all the processing, all the orders, but we're open 7 days a week. So, and we do all we can on the day your order comes in to get it out within 24 hours. So, don't wait too late, but we've got some great stocking stuffers. And I told these guys, on the Ask JR thing the other day, maybe you want to buy something for yourself. Maybe you finally get that gift that you want, and it's not another tie or a pair of socks or something. So I don't leave yourself out of this equation. But for wrestling fans, or you got buddies that are wrestling fans, and you don't know what to get on, you want to get something, and you want to stay within a budget, then we got all the answers you need. jrsbbq.com, and we'd love to take care of your business, and we'd love to be a small part of your holidays. Simple as that. And we appreciate the business very much.
You're going to love it. Check it out, jrsbbq.com, and tune in next week where we talk about all things Michael Cole. And boy, I bet the news sites are going to have something to say after that. It's every Thursday right here. It's Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
Enjoy your day. Hug your kids, your friends, your family. Enjoy Thanksgiving for what it is. For me and Conrad, me and Conrad, Conrad and I means eating and enjoying the fellowship. Look, I've realized in the last few years and here lately too, life is tentative and you never know about tomorrow. They're not guaranteed. So enjoy Thanksgiving for all the reasons that count your blessings and be thankful. And we hope you have the best Thanksgiving ever. And Conrad, I wish I was in Huntsville, but maybe another time, hopefully. And if you sent Silva to pick me up and drive me down there,
You'd never make it. He's flipped 4 cars in his life, Jim.
well, and also he shits himself. So what I want to, he shits wherever he wants. That's a real man that can shit wherever he wants, especially in another fellow's pool. So in any event, I'm a little leery of that, the old number 2. And so, but nonetheless, we'll make it down there some of these days, I hope, and have some fun. So until then, everybody, we appreciate your business. Thanks for making our show so successful. Couldn't happen without all you guys. Tell somebody about our show and join us here on Grill and JR. Until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks. God bless.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.